Akane-Banashi, a weekly Shonen Jump flagship series by Yuki Suinaga and Takamasu Moe, which follows a teenage girl named Akane as she rises through the ranks in the world of Rakugo. But what is Rakugo? Well, this is Rakugo. Rakugo is a traditional Japanese storytelling art with a single performer portraying multiple characters. Only equipped with a paper fan and a hand towel, the lone storyteller, also known as a Rakugoka, reenacts dialogue between two or more characters that have been passed down from master to apprentice for hundreds of years. These timeless stories can range from rapid-fire comedic banter, to scary supernatural tales, to sentimental dramas that tug at your heartstrings, and always end with a very memorable punchline. My first introduction to the art of Rakugo was through an anime called Descending Stories Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju, all the way back in 2016. I remember being mesmerized by the stories and mannerisms of the characters, and how even the slightest change of expression, posture, or speech pattern could evoke a different feeling or even change the message of the story completely. Now with Akane-Banashi getting its anime adaptation heading into this upcoming spring season, it will introduce a brand new wave of anime fans to the world of Rakugo. So in this video, I will break down everything you will need to know about Rakugo, so you can be a pro before the show. Now, I want to preface that I am just a huge fan of Rakugo, and I'm doing my absolute best to try to get the best information for this video. But if there is a Rakugoka out there who wants to help me clarify or correct elements of this video, please feel free to leave a comment down below, and feel free to also react and use this video for reference. Any feedback would be greatly appreciated. So where did Rakugo originate from? Don't worry, I'll try to make this as quick as possible. According to Rakugoka Kainaria Eishi, Rakugo could be traced all the way back to the Seigan Temple in Kyoto, where a Buddhist monk named Onrakuan Sakuden started to incorporate more characters and anecdotes into his sermons. Not only would this make the sermons more entertaining for his students, but it would also reinforce the idea that each story ends with a life lesson or a teaching. His stories would be compiled into a book in 1623, which marks the start of Rakugo. From there, Rakugo stories would continue to be created, performed, and passed down for future generations, all the way up to the present day. Now that we know the history of Rakugo, what is the structure of these timeless stories? Well, there are three main segments of a Rakugo performance. The first segment is what is known as the Makura. This is used to introduce the Rakugoka and give relevant context for the story. This also lets the audience get an idea of what kind of story is about to be told. Makura directly translates to the word pillow, which is supposed to act as a way to usher the audience into the dream or the story that is about to be told. The next segment is the Honda. This is where the original spoken word story and the main performance begins. Rakugoka portray multiple characters throughout the story by changing the direction that they face. To add to the performance, they will also change their mannerism, posture, and speech patterns to better suit the characters that they play. This is where a Rakugoka really shines and shows off their unique take on a story. The last and most important part of any Rakugo story is the sage or ochi. This is the punchline of the joke or the overall story. There are different styles of punchlines as well, such as repetition, puns, role reversals, story resets, catchphrases, and even physical gestures. Even the more dramatic and serious stories will have a final line that resonates with the audience. This is usually what the whole story has been leading up to, and the message that we take away from the whole performance. Now, let's use one of the most popular Rakugo tales as an example. Although Rakugo stories may seem set in stone, there is actually a lot of variations of the same story. One of the most popular tales and one of the most comedic tales is about a boy with a very long name, also known as Jugemu Jugemu Goko no Tsurikire Kaijari Suyo no Suyo Matsu Unhurai Matsu Funhurai Matsu Kuneru Tokoro ni Sumu Tokoro Yabura Koji no Burokoji Paipo 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 no Shuringan Shuringan no Gurindai Gurindai no Pompokopi no Pompoko no Chokime no Chosuke. Try to say that 3 times fast. In the spirit of the original Rakugo story now, I have to say the full name from this point forward. Although the story is mostly known for its funny and repetitive tongue twister of a name, the tone of the whole story can change depending on the Rakugoka and how they perform it. The most common is that Jugemu goko no surikire, kaijari suigyo no suigyo matsu, unurai matsu, funurai matsu, kuneru tokoro ni sumu tokoro, yabura koji no burokoji, baipo 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 no shuringan, shuringan no gurindai, gurindai no pompoka pi no pompoka na no chokime no chosuke, apostrophe s, name is so long that the entire day is wasted on just saying his name and nothing gets done. This is usually the comedic go-to route, and it's honestly the most fun to say once you start getting the rhythm down. But there is a darker and more grim version of this tale, where Jugemu goko no surikire, kaijari suigyo no suigyo matsu, unurai matsu, funurai matsu, kuneru tokoro ni sumu tokoro, yabura koji no burokoji, baipo 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 no shuringan, shuringan no gurindai, gurindai no pompoka pi no pompoka na no chokume no chosuke, is placed in immediate danger, usually in a rapid, sweeping river. But because his name is so long, help doesn't arrive in time, and he doesn't survive. Although both of these stories share the same message that indecision wastes time, the punchline gives a completely different tone depending on which route the Rakugoka wants to perform. Now that's honestly how you fill a 500-word essay. If you guys just ever need to use that, just slap that in, just copy and paste that in there. I know this has been a lot of information so far, and this is not what you normally expect from me. I'm mostly an anime and manga channel, but if you guys learned something new today, it would be greatly appreciated if you guys hit the like and subscribe button. It lets me know that these types of videos are actually worth putting the time and effort into making, even if they are outside of my regular content. Also, I will try to use the new YouTube quiz function if you guys haven't seen that. It should be like right around here. There's like little questions that will pop up during certain parts of the story. So if you guys want to take it, I do get to see the grades. I'm not going to tell you what your grades are. I'm not your teacher or anything. But if you guys wanted to take a little quiz as you guys continue to go through and learn more about Rakugo, feel free to try it out. Let me know what you guys think about the quiz. Now, back to Rakugo. In the present day, there are 2 styles of Rakugo, Edo style and Kamigata style, which are both named after the regions where they come from. And although both of the styles can perform the same stories, the reason for performing and the equipment used were completely different. The Edo style originated in the Tokyo area. At the time, Tokyo was the samurai town where the high-ranking officials lived. This style of Rakugo is a theatrical performance that puts emphasis on the minimal storytelling. The Rakugoka would only have 2 props, a sensu or folding fan, and a tenugui, a hand towel, while kneeling on a zabuton, or a cushion. On the other hand, the Kamigata style of Rakugo originated from the Kyoto, Osaka, and Kobe regions. These regions were a merchant hub where the hustle and bustle of the city really added to the cadence and liveliness of the performance. On top of having the same fan, towel, and cushion as the Edo style Rakugo, Kamigata style would also have a wooden bench called a kendai, a knee screen called a hiza kakushi, and a wooden clapper called a kyoboshi, which was used to draw attention before the beginning of their performance. Both Rakugo styles allow the viewer to trace back where the Rakugo storytelling style originated from, as well as the tools of the trade. Quick question, what do sumo wrestling and Rakugo have in common? If you said they're both Japanese, good job, but that's not the answer I'm looking for here. The answer here is that both of them have formal ranking systems and naming traditions. Starting off with our rankings, there are 3 levels assigned to Rakugo performers, and in order to move up to the next rank, you have to get approval from a Rakugo association and pass a certain milestone or criteria. The introductory rank is called Zenza. Even before taking the stage, there's usually a long apprenticeship period where you focus on backstage chores, observing your master's performances, and listening and learning other stories. This could even include learning musical instruments such as the shamisen, taiko drums, or even the yokubue flutes. After a few years, yes I said years, of apprenticeship work and working on their craft, they will eventually get the opportunity to take the stage and perform their stories as an opening act. Moving on, the next rank is Futatsume. This is the official graduation from an apprentice to an independent performer. You get your own specialized Hayori jacket and kimono, and can start performing without your master's recommendation. The final rank is Shinuchi. This is when you can become the headliner of a show and are considered the master of your craft. At this point, they could officially take on other apprentices, and are also considered the best in the business. Now for the naming tradition in Rakugo. The performers themselves don't actually get to pick their stage name, but rather they are named by their masters. These names will be displayed on a vertical sheet of paper on a wooden board called a mekuri, and they let the audience know who's coming up next. For example, let's take Canadian Rakugoka Katsuda Sunshine. Katsuda Sunshine's birth certificate does not say Katsuda Sunshine on it, believe it or not. He got his name from his master, Katsuda Bunshi VI, or also known as Katsuda Sanshi. And now that Katsuda Sunshine has taken on 2 apprentices of his own, he has named them Katsuda Sunny and Katsuda Moonlight. And if he's honestly looking for a 3rd apprentice, you can consider this my formal application. So now that I taught you everything you need to know about Rakugo, you probably want to see a performance for yourself. Well, there are actually a few ways to experience Rakugo. If you happen to be in Japan, you can go to a yosei, or a traditional Japanese theater, to see these performances. They're usually lined up with other Japanese-style performances, such as 2-person stand-up comedy called manzai, or even Japanese balancing acrobatic performances. Outside of Japan, there are performers who do perform Rakugo in English, such as Katsuda Sunshine and Kainariya Eishi. Katsuda Sunshine mainly performs in New York and Asakusa, but he also does travel around the United States and does shows in places that might not have access to Rakugo. Kainariya Eishi performs out of New Zealand, and also hosts seminars to teach people who are willing to learn about the art of Rakugo. If going to a live performance is still overwhelming, you can always watch an anime with Rakugo as its main focus. The series that I recommend are Descending Stories Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju, My Master Has No Tail, and of course, the up-and-coming series Akane-Banashi. Now, I know what you're thinking. Rakugo is just one person kneeling on a pillow, talking to themselves while playing with props. How can this be exciting to watch? Although the actions of Rakugo may not be as flashy as the latest action or isekai series that anime audiences are now expecting, it's how Rakugo bridges the gap between a traditional art and a contemporary audience that makes these stories resonate. Even though these stories are from hundreds of years ago, the lessons and punchlines still land to this day, and make a storytelling art entertaining for anyone. From an anime standpoint, Akane-Banashi captures the motto of Shonen Jump, which is friendship, effort, and victory. Watching characters develop a skill or craft through the mastery of these timeless stories to rise through the ranks is what makes this series one of my most anticipated series to not only come out this season, but this entire year. I hope that this video helped you learn more things about the traditional art of Rakugo, and maybe even see a performance for yourself. So, now you know the Rakugo flow, so you're the pro before you go and watch the show. I'll see you on the next one.